On today's episode of Absolutely, we have relationship coach Donna Barnes. We have lots of questions that we can ask her as well. We're going to go over some hot topics, and it's my first episode, so stay tuned. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I am so thankful that all of you come today. Today is the first episode of Absolutely. This is a dream come true, so I'm so grateful. I want to say thank you to all of you who came. I'm really appreciate it. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I'm so grateful that y'all could be here. I'm so honored to have this opportunity. We have relationship life coach Donna Barnes here today, so we'll have that in a few minutes. But to begin with, I want to start with a little bit of history of how it got to be what it is today. I started out with last year deciding, oh, you know what? I want to be a host. I want to do this as a career. I want to make this full time. So I went ahead and entered into Oprah's contest. She had a reality show on her new network that she was going to put on called Your Own Show. And I don't know if any of y'all saw any episodes of this. She had a reality show, and there was a competition, and I entered it online. The online competition was you pitch your video and then see if you can get in the top 5. If you make the top 5, then you're going to be flown to LA, and they'll consider you to be on the show. So I went ahead and did it, and after, I don't know, about 2 weeks, I ended up with about 20,000 votes, which got me in the top 30 or so, which was unbelievable. Then this guy named Zach Anner came along. You may have heard of him or seen him. This is a picture of him. He has cerebral palsy, as he says, the sexiest of the palsies. So you can figure it. He's really charming. He's from Austin, Texas. Hilarious, funny. He was at 2,000 votes when I was about 20,000, maybe even more. So I was like, no problem. I went to bed. This is like my experience. I went to bed, and then I got up the next day because, of course, every morning I'm like, where am I at? He had 2 million votes. 2 million overnight. Who does that? Zach Anner. Zach Anner does that. Yeah, it's just not fair. So Zach got first place that day, but I still kept going. And by the end of the competition, I got 21st place out of 9,504 people with over 1 million votes. It was incredible. I was very honored. I did very well, but I obviously didn't make it into the show. The show happened. It just aired. It finished in January. And after all was said and done, I got to see Zach Anner win this thing, which, let's reflect. Even if I had made the show, who can win against Mr. Sexiest of the Palsies? So I sort of look at it as, I probably would have lost on the show. Instead, I have my own talk show! So yes, this is great. So I'm going to go on. I have what I call, to begin with, the first segment, incredibly neat news. I'm not trying to be CNN. I'm not Fox News. I don't have all this. I'm not trying to give you the most up-to-date thing. I'm just trying to give you news items that I think are worthwhile, something that's exciting, something that, something that's motivating, that makes you feel good, that typical news places wouldn't do. So let's start with not Charlie Sheen. Anyway, I don't know if you saw, I'm sure everyone is aware of the Japan earthquake. Some of the news that happened with that was that the earth moved. Did y'all hear about this? That the earth literally moved in Japan, and it caused, well, first of all, the earthquake itself, they thought it was an 8.9, and it was a 9.0 magnitude. 9.0 magnitude earthquake. Just to give you some perspective here, the San Francisco earthquake in 1989, 6.9. The Haiti earthquake in 2010 was a 7.0. The San Francisco earthquake in 1906, that devastating earthquake that basically tore down the whole city, that was an 8.0. And we just had a 9.0 in Japan. They say, from NASA, they said this shortened Earth's day by 1/1,000,000th of a second, which is 1.8 microseconds to be exact, is what they were saying. And it shifted the Earth's axis by 6.5 inches. That's this long. 6.5 inches, it tilted the Earth. And while this looks really long on a ruler, they interviewed Richard Gross at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory about these things, because I mean, the idea is, with the time, the Earth is spinning faster, and so we're going to live longer days because of this. This is what he had to say about it. Earth's rotation changes all the time as a result of not only earthquakes, but also the much larger effects in atmospheric winds and oceanic currents. Over the course of a year, the length of a day increases and decreases by about a millisecond. Now remember, I said it was 1/1,000,000th of a second before, and it changes about a millisecond naturally. So this is about 550 times larger than the change caused by the Japanese earthquake. And I just want to tell Aaron, my brother, that you're the one that was like putting all this all over his Facebook, but it's not really that much. And then the axis also changes over time naturally by about 3.3 feet over the course of a year, which is 6 times more than the change that is caused by the Japan quake. So, I mean, still, let's pray for Japan, please. I've agreed to be a part of a prayer commitment. What would you call it? The 30-day prayer?
Yeah, just a
commitment, yeah. Every day at noon, a group of us, my community at Sacred Center, an interfaith group, we decided every day at noon for 30 days to just spend 1 minute praying for Japan. And so I encourage everyone to please join in on this if you're willing. Another part of the effects from the earthquake, the U.S. Geological Survey, there's global positioning stations. The one that was closest to the epicenter of the earthquake moved 13 feet. 13 feet, it literally relocated 13 feet away from where it originally was. And Japan is now wider than it was before. And the fault lines that are there's different types. There's some that go against each other, like this is the one in California, the San Andreas does this one. And Japan is a landed body here, and then the North American plate is going underneath this way. And so what happened, the pressure of these two going together, it moved. And so the water got displaced, and that's what caused a tsunami. And literally, when this happened, it moved 13 feet, and Japan moved over 13 feet, which is just incredible to just imagine moving 13 feet from where you were to somewhere else. The next thing I have here, I want to read this, see if you can figure out what I'm talking about here. This is David Pogue, who compiled some of these quotes here. From the Orange County web design blog, an utter disappointment and abysmal failure. That's how they described this item. Business Week described it as, consumers seem genuinely baffled by why they might need it. MarketWatch said, insanely great it is not. Gizmodo said, my God, am I underwhelmed. Does anybody know what I'm talking about, what these were writing about? The iPad. That was the original iPad. That was their comments from what they thought about it. Analysts are expecting now that it's going to sell 3 times more in the first 2 days. They don't have the exact numbers yet. They're estimating it's going to be 3 times more in the first 2 days than the first iPad. 60% are already existing iPad owners, which blows my mind. I mean, I understand you want the thinner one, but you already have an iPad. You're going to get another one? I don't understand that. 40% are new buyers, and then 100% own at least one Apple product. Are they filtering? Are they like asking? I mean, do you have an iPhone on you? I'm sorry, end of the line. Thank you, next. No. 100%. That was shocking to me. Did y'all see the supermoon? Or have you heard about this? Yeah. The supermoon? There was an incredible moon that was closer than anything else. They say, okay, so it's the moon is in a oval axis. I had no idea. I did not know this. It actually circulates the Earth in an oval. So there's a time whenever it's closer, and there's a time when it's furthest away. And so that supermoon was whenever it was the closest. It was, if you can imagine this, 227,159 miles away. That's at its closest. So I was actually working a catering event the night of the supermoon, and so I asked my boss, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I go to the roof? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. So I go up there, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be great, supermoon. I can't wait. I went up there, and you could see the light. Like, it was so bright, but you couldn't see it. I mean, I was in a place where you couldn't see it, so I had to walk around to the other porch, and I get over there, and I can't wait, and I see a full moon. It was a fucking full moon. It was just a really bright full moon. It was nothing special. I don't know what that was about. I'm baffled by why this was a super moon. I mean, okay, it was bright. It was really bright. But that was it. You know how you can like cover up the moon with your thumb? I could cover up the moon with my thumb. It was. Here's a picture actually from New York. This is like Columbus Circle right here. and there's the moon. It wasn't this big. It wasn't. I don't know. This is like Photoshop. I was there. I saw it. It was not this big. I don't know. I was thinking the harvest moon. You know, if it's closer to the sun, like the what do you call that? Horizon. Thank you. It's closer to the horizon, and it's supposed to look bigger. And that it was up in the sky when I saw it, but it looks like a regular moon. I don't know what kind of super moon they're talking about. Finally, I have here what is called the $1 billion-ogram. I'm going to bring a lot of these to the show. This is from informationisbeautiful.net. It helps you conceptualize whatever different topics they come up with. This one, for example, was how to conceptualize $1 billion. So for example, if you can see this small light blue box here, this is the worth of Facebook. $15 billion right here. Right above it, this is Bill Gates. $46 billion, okay? Here is the estimated budget, this tall, skinny one here. In 2003, they estimated that Iraq war was going to cost $60 billion. This is the estimated total, $3,000 billion of what actually we spent on here. The U.S. defense budget right here, $440. This small box within the big box is the financial crisis right here, is how much so far, as of August 2009, we've spent in billions of dollars, $2,800 billion. This is the worst case scenario, $7,800. This is the New Deal that happened right after the Depression, $500 billion in today's dollars. This is the comparison of today's financial crisis and what they estimated in the New Deal right here. This right here, this little purple box, is $97 billion. That's the porn industry, $97 billion. Ultimately, though, why I want to show you this is this box right here. This box right here is $54 billion. This is how much it would cost to feed every child in the world for 1 year. $54 billion. So just think about that. Think about giving something today so you can help contribute to this box instead of all the rest of these. We're going to take a break. We're going to go to the messages. But before I do, I want to remind you, please, if you have any pictures or any news items that you want to contribute as well, you can tweet us at AbsoluteLeightTV or email us at AbsoluteLeightTV@gmail.com. We'll be right back after this break. We're back with Absolute Leigh. This is the first series of our 5 New Yorkers You Should Know series. Our first guest is actually the TV expert for the Relationship Life Coach on the TV show What Would You Do with John Quinones, as well as the author of It's All About You. Please welcome our first guest, relationship coach Donna Barnes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so honored and happy that you could be here with me today.
Thanks. Well, it's my pleasure.
Oh, I'm so grateful. I wouldn't want anyone else except for you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Happy to have you. So I want to give you a little history about her. Donna was casted in a reality show in 2001 called To Live and Date in New York. It had many other names on other stations, such as Single in the City and The Real Sex in the City, because it really was like that. It was like that kind of opportunity for her. And so I wanted to do my first segment on Single in the City. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of a name, and Single in the City came to me, and subconsciously, I think it was because of your show.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. So what grew from that experience?
Oh, God, it just opened a door for me. You know, I really, prior to that, had been just trying to figure it out for myself, reading every self-help book I could get my hands on, and just, you know, trying to grow. And I think it gave me a platform, really, to express my knowledge and helping my friends and things like that. So, and the show became a big hit here in the city on a channel called Metro TV. So they had really promoted us. So it aired 8 times a day, and everywhere my girlfriends and I would go, people would call us. We were called the Barracudas. My girlfriend loved to nickname everybody. You know, people would be like, oh, "It's a Barracuda," and like, you know, it was a fun experience. But then the talk show is what really opened up. You know, greatest phone call I ever got in my life was from the president of that network, going, "Hey, do you have any interest in doing a talk show?" And 205 episodes later, interviewing experts and everything else,
what an opportunity!
Yeah,
I'm so grateful that I'm so grateful that someone that is a talk show host previously that knows what to do could come on my show and help me out in case I mess something up.
Well,
so.
thank you. You're rolling with it. You're doing great.
Thank you. So I know you're officially, professionally a life coach. You went to NYU?
Yeah, actually, right about the time that the talk show ended, I had a hosting agent who said to me, yeah, but why are you an expert? You either need a degree or you need to write a book. So I did both. I met a girl who was a life coach who was had just finished this program at NYU, which was an awesome program. And I went to the website and I looked and it was starting the next week. So I enrolled and it changed my life in such a positive, wonderful way. And simultaneously wrote an ebook and have a...
Speaking of, the ebook is called It's All About You. When I always get the tagline, I always do that. How to use your power and to get and keep a wonderful man.
Or woman.
Go check it out.
It works for men too. I just haven't, changed the pronoun.
Oh yeah, no, right. I've read it. It's true. It really does. I was like reading it. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I was truly impressed. I was like, wow, yes. I learned stuff myself.
Oh, cool.
So,
Thanks.
let's talk about this, if you don't mind.
Sure.
This topic came about because I did the show, The Full Monty. I know I have a friend in the audience who also did it. I did the show, The Full Monty, and I was voted in the cast, unofficially of course, to be the most surprising to be single. And I agree. Why am I single? I don't know. So give me a call. LeighCamby.com. You can check me out on my website. I have Facebook as well. Check me out. I did some stats, and I wanted to share these with you. Share these with the audience, really. I'm sure you know a lot of these.
I'm interested too.
As of 2009, 43% of all Americans 18 or older were single. 43%. That's 96.6 million single people in America. So for those that say, I can't find my man, hello, 96.6 million single people. There's plenty of opportunity. 53% of them are women, so that's 88 men to every 100 women, so I can sort of understand. But come on, there's still no excuse. You can find out of this, there's about 50 million available, 50 million of each sex available. 61% have never been married. 24% were divorced, 15% widowed. This is sort of unrelated here. 6.2 million unmarried partner households. So that means out of the same sex, 565,000 were who reported for the same sex unmarried partner households. This is the census data. The census.
I work for the census.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I just not putting that together. This is the census data.
That's how we met.
It's from the census. So that's so funny. I like our company a lot, our government policy. As of 2002, there were 904 dating services. I mean, this is 2002, so I'm surely there's probably like 4,000 dating services today. So my roommate, I thought this is a good question to begin with. My roommate wants to know, where are all the men?
Well, probably hiding. But, I have to say what caught my eye when you said there was however many people available, what ran through my head was, yeah, just because they're not in a relationship doesn't mean that they are available. And I think that's actually the real question of how many people, and if you ask somebody if they're available, they might give you an answer that's different than if they are truly available or not. And I think that's why a lot of people are single.
Well, if you're not available, then you're like someone that's to themselves? Is that?
No, I mean like you have issues that you haven't confronted and you don't realize. And I think all too frequent commitment issues are huge, especially in a city like New York. And I think all too often your conscious desire is to get married and have children and to have a relationship and be in a relationship. But then your subconscious fear is preventing you from having it. Your subconscious, once you start getting that, is going, oh my God. And as you're going, I love you, it's going, shut up, I can't handle that. And it's a conflict. And most people that have commitment issues don't even consider that they have them because they want with all their heart and soul to have a relationship.
Yes, my roommate, every weekend he goes out, he says in jest, with his friends, they're all together, by the way, twice a week, every weekend, my roommate goes out and he says every time before going out, I'm going to meet my husband tonight. He's so excited. He thinks
well, that's good. You have to. You you are what you think you are. So he has to feel that way.
Do you think the going to the clubs, is that a good way?
No.
Okay.
No.
Where do you find, because that's where that seems to be the most popular way though.
Well, honestly, actually, I think online is probably the most popular way, and I actually think it's the most effective way. Because here's the thing, you're out in a bar, it's all about attraction, right? You see somebody, you're like, oh, he's hot or she's hot, and then you start getting to know each other. But more often than not, if you have a lot of chemistry, you've jumped into the relationship and you're all hot for each other, and you're ignoring red flags left and right because you're just so hot for each other. And I personally have a lot of clients say, yeah, but I just don't find somebody that I'm that attracted to that often. But then usually that's why most relationships only last 3 or 6 months, because then as you start getting to know each other, you're kind of realizing it's not really a good fit, or sometimes you don't even really like each other that much. You're just hot for each other. So I think, but that's why online dating works, because you can't walk up to somebody and go, how old are you? Have you ever been married? Do you have kids? Do you want kids? What do you do for a living?
I mean, you can ask those questions.
You can, but they'll go like, whoa, you're nuts, right?
Yes,
but
yes.
you can sit online and you can search for that, and you can do specific searches for that, which I highly recommend. And your profile is like your advertisement of this is me. And if you write it correctly, then hopefully someone else reads it and goes, yes, that's me too. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So before you even know if you're attracted to them, you know that on paper, you have commonality, which is the biggest key to making a relationship work. Like, I think there's a triangle. There's communication, which everybody seems to get, whether they're good at it or not. There's, affinity and attraction and love and all that. But then there's commonality. And commonality is that you're basically the same people. You have the same ethics and values and goals. And, opposites attracts on superficial level, but not on the basic core.
What about people that are just afraid of, or not either technology proficient, or people that would rather do it in person? There's just people that say, technology is just not my thing, or there's a lot of fear around online dating as well.
Yeah.
And so if you were, and we could talk about that, I want to get back to that, about being safe online dating. For those that don't want to online date, how can they, my roommate, he wants to go out to the clubs. That's where he thinks, I'm going to find my husband out there.
Well, if he's really a club-going kind of person and he's into
and
that
a drinker.
kind of thing.
I shouldn't be talking about my roommate. I'm sorry. I love you. This is not, these are all allegedly. Allegedly, my roommate likes to drink. I love you.
Well, it's commonality. So if that's your lifestyle and that's what you like to do, then yeah, that's probably where you're going to have the best chance of finding somebody. But there is the caution that the person who's still really into going out to clubs and hanging out late and drinking and partying isn't really ready for a committed relationship. So be careful what you wish for. You might find somebody like that who you totally fall for, and then they can't really commit to you, and you get your heart broken, and then that's no fun. Then everyone knows about that. Then it's a public situation. Right.
Are there common energy blocks to finding the person? I kept using, by the way, in my questions, I kept talking about your partner, because I assume people, when they're looking for, in their love life, they're not looking for the just for now person. They're looking for someone they want to spend a long time with.
Well, yeah, depending, and I think most people are, but I think it's really helpful to know what you're looking for. If you're not ready for that long-term committed relationship, say so when you first meet somebody. And I always like to say, when people tell you how they feel, believe them. It's all too often someone hears, oh, he said he's not really looking for a relationship, but he really likes me. It's like, no, he's not looking for a relationship. That's what you needed to hear.
But I think he's great. He's such a good person. We click so well.
Yeah.
I'll change him.
Exactly. And no, you won't. No, you won't. So.
That's tough to hear, especially when you fall, when crushes. When you have a crush, it's just hard to, change that.
Yeah, it is. And unfortunately, I think you said the blocks,
Yes.
I think fear is the biggest stumbling block in relationships in one way or another, whether it's fear of commitment or fear of abandonment, or, just that you can't express yourself, fear of intimacy. So I think the more you're aware of what your issues are, and the more you've taken responsibility and worked on them a little bit, then you're better off to find a partner that actually matches your issues, because everybody's got issues. So it's a matter of discovering whose issues don't stimulate your issues.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess figuring out what your issues are would be a good place to start, because that's a hot mess if I'm telling you I have no issues. Which, let's talk about me. Okay. I'm terrified to approach someone. I think my biggest insecurity is I always have a voice in my head, oh, I'm not attractive enough. And so that stops me. I freeze in terror, and then, oh, no, he's too attractive, and I won't even go there. And so, but I'm speaking about fear. Everyone has their own fear of, I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or... Right. So how do you get over that?
Well, first of all, you are an incredibly attractive man, and I think that you need to know that.
Thank you.
First and foremost, and actually that does where it starts from, because you are what you think you are. So if you're looking at somebody and you're going, oh wow, he's hot, but you don't have the confidence to believe that he could find you hot, he won't. Because you are what you think you are, and energy is contagious. So if you're thinking, I'm not attractive, so is he, because he's reading your energy. So it's really a matter of knowing that you are attractive. And rejection is so random. It's not usually even about you. It's usually more about what's going on with them. Either that they're still stuck on someone else, or they're in some big work crisis, or whatever it is, that they're not available and not open to, you know, it's not about you. It's just that they're not there. And then, yeah, everybody kind of has their own type, and scientists are still trying to figure out why you're attracted to one person and not another one. So it's really
still
not
an unknown
anything
quantity.
to take personally. It's really, you know, and in a nanosecond, it's not about, they don't know you. How can you take that personally? So
that's true. That's true, because you like to think, oh, you give them power. Oh,
Right.
I wasn't even thinking about your book. Maybe I subconsciously was, but I was thinking I'm giving them power if I'm telling them, oh yeah, they don't find me attractive, and then, oh, they're right, you know, if I get rejected.
Well, and also confidence is incredibly attractive. So, and you know, they're probably over there, if he does think you're attractive, just as scared to come talk to you as you are to them. So if you can make that eye contact, it's kind of like giving them an invitation, saying, hey, if you come talk to me, at least I'm not going to reject you, you know, which is a really comfortable place to come from. It takes a little bit of courage to walk up to somebody and put yourself out there.
A little
like
bit, girl.
that,
I would say a lot. It takes a lot of courage. Oh, sometimes it's hard.
Right, so if you can make it easier for somebody else to kind of give them that opening and giving them that confidence to come talk to you, then, then it, you know, hopefully gets the ball rolling.
Yes, yes, I'm all about that. I want to get that ball rolling. I would love to do that. I'm working on it. So let's take a break here, and we'll be right back. We're going to talk about first dates when we come back. Stay tuned. We're back with Donna Barnes. We're talking now about relationships and being single in the city. I want to start talking about first dates, if you don't mind. I'm really curious about how long should they be? That's my first question.
You know, I hate rules. You know, people say, oh, it should only be 2 minutes. It should be. I think as long as you're in tune with the person that you're on a date with and you're accurately gauging what's going on, then I think there are no rules. You know, if you're both having a fabulous time and it's clear that you're both having a fabulous time, some nights go all night. Some days, you know. But read the part. Like if it's going really well for the first hour and then you start kind of losing their attention, then cut it off. Then you got to go, because less is more if it's not staying on a connected level.
Are you a proponent of just saying it? This is not working. This is not. I'm done.
Well,
or I mean, maybe with a lot more tact, but like, you know.
I think honesty and feedback is really, really helpful. But sometimes it's also really hurtful. So you have to be careful how you. Sometimes it's like, who asked you, you know. But you know, I think rather than the whole, like, you know, I think people don't know how to be rejective even, you know. They don't want to, like, if someone says like, oh, well, can I see you again? They go, yeah, rather than go, no, I really don't think this was a, you know, so it's a fine line, and it's hard. But if you can try not to at least say things that you don't mean, because I think in the moment people just get like, well, I'll call you. And when you have no intention of ever calling that person, that's bad. You know, I think if you just go, well, you know, it was nice to meet you, period. Leave it at that. And then hopefully they're not, you know. And nowadays, I think, I hate that text messaging is so, like, I think it is completely inappropriate to ask somebody out or break up with them.
Yes, the whole relationship. It's like, hey, you want to go out? And just the whole thing. You don't ever talk to them.
Yeah.
Text, and then you go out for coffee. Text.
Exactly. Well, and also, too, like, context is completely, like, you know, you as an actor, right? You can read the same sentence 5 to 10 to 20 different ways and have different meanings. So, you know, I do this with clients all the time. They'll call me crying. He sent me a text message that says, like, and I'll go, I didn't read it that way. I thought he meant, and they go, oh my God, I totally didn't even get that. Okay, thanks. Like, you know, you know what I mean? So it's like you have to be really careful.
That's a mess.
It's a mess. You know, pick up a phone and speak to the person, and they know what it meant. Like, you know, I mean, there's the whole like smiley face and thing like that, but it's obnoxious.
It's still all text, and you've got to. You lose so much. You lose so much. The language is meant to be spoken, and when you're typing the letter R instead of A, that's a grammar thing.
Well, because relationships are also about communicating. So if you do it through an electronic medium. I mean, once you're fully in a relationship, it's like, hey, what time's dinner, whatever, like those kind of things are fine. But when you're trying to establish a relationship with each other, pick up the phone and speak to each other. I think it's just
nonsense, I think.
It's more intimate.
Yes.
Which, you know, if someone can't do that, then that's a clue that they're probably not good at intimacy.
Let's talk about masculine and feminine energy. This blew my mind. When it was in her book. It talks about the difference between being clear about who you are. Let me read this. In page 37 of the book, you said if you choose to be, and that was one thing that was so interesting to me. masculine, actually, before I go into it, if I could have you summarize basically what the difference between choosing, how you could choose to be a masculine or feminine energy.
Well, because masculine and feminine has really nothing to do with gender. It's about, whether you're the more dominant or the more passive kind of, So it's like, and I think in a city like New York, especially for women, it takes a really strong, confident woman to get ahead in this city. And then it's a hard time leaving that at the office when you come home. And I have a lot of little expressions, and one of my favorite one is let the man be the man. Because, if you're a masculine energy kind of woman, but you're attracted to masculine energy kind of men, that's where opposites need to attract. That's not going to work. If you're trying to wear the pants and he's trying to wear the pants, and you're not willing to yield that to him, then it's not going to work.
Well, that could be a very controversial topic for, let's say, like feminists. There's people that are like, we need to be more stand up, and but I still want to. I hear this conversation a lot amongst my girlfriends who are saying that I still want to be treated like a woman, but I want to be treated equal in life, in the workplace, and so what's coming up is what I would call masculine energy, but they still want to be the woman. How do you?
Right. I'm not saying that you shouldn't still take care of your needs and stand up for yourself and create your own boundaries. And really, you have to teach people how to treat you. So you should absolutely still do all of that, but it's the way you do it. It's definitely, you can be feminine, and it's a little bit to the old fashion of like, a man wants to take care of you, let him. He doesn't want to need to. You should be able to take care of yourself, but
that's a clear distinction. He shouldn't, you let him, but not make him.
Yeah, unless you're attracted to feminine energy kind of men. I mean, there are men out there that would love a woman to just pave the way and take care of them and do that. Like, but then make sure that that works with you for what you're looking for.
So on page 37, in regards to this, you said to maintain gaze to show attraction if you're a female energy. And this is when you're flirting, when you're in a club flirting with someone, that you should maintain, as a feminine energy, maintain gazing. And that seemed counterintuitive to me, because that seemed a very brave thing to do for a female energy to. It almost, to me, sounded like that as a woman, you have to be the brave one, and you got to maintain the eye contact with that man until he looks.
But well, no, not like staring him down. Then you look a little psycho. But no, but it's still the more confidence of that guy to have to come over here and talk to you, especially if you're with more than one girlfriend or so, and he's got to risk the rejection and laughter of all your friends. So it goes back to giving that invitation. So as if, and like your own natural, it's like you can look at somebody all day that you're not interested in, but as soon as you're interested in them, you're like, oh God, I can't look, like,
Right,
but
right.
That also sends that message of like, you looked, but then you looked away, but then you looked back, and then like, because that's a natural reaction. You see somebody, you met eyes, and you're like, oh God.
Yes.
But if you look back, then it says, oh no, yeah, that's a good thing, and then hopefully they'll start looking too, and just
I think
that
that's
simple.
a brave thing. I mean, that to me is sort of scary. Trying to. I have the fear, like I said, of approaching. So I've had the gaze before, but some of them have been that creepy. Gaze.
Well, yeah, you don't want to scare the person by like staring them down. But like, if you ask yourself, what do you have to lose at any given time? If you see somebody across the room and you're attracted to them and you do nothing, you have a lot to lose. You have no idea whether you could have been good to them, But if you put it out there and you smile at them and you engage their attention, what's the worst that could happen? So they don't come talk to you.
Right.
At least you tried.
Yes, that's true.
And hopefully you go home feeling like, okay, I put it out there. At least I did something, rather than just standing there hoping and hoping and hoping and not giving them any. Especially because when you tend to like somebody, then you're like, oh God, I can't look. So then you're not looking, and then you think, oh, he's not interested. So,
right.
Body language is so important, and unfortunately, sometimes when we like somebody, we shut down our body language. So if you can be conscious of not shutting it down and being open with it and allowing them to know, hey, I kind of like you. At the very least, it's flattering, right?
Yes.
Someone's interested in you, even if you're not available. You're like, oh, thanks. That's nice. It's nice to know that someone found you attractive.
Yes, absolutely. It feels good. Like,
yeah.
I got all these eye contacts tonight. They all love me, especially if maybe when it's genuine. Let me ask this. How does masculine and feminine energy apply with non-traditional relationships or same-sex relationships?
Oh, I think the same way. I think it doesn't, that's why I mean it has nothing to do with gender. I think there's an awful lot of feminine energy women and masculine energy men and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you're effeminate if you're a feminine energy man. It just means that you're more comfortable letting someone else lead or take and I think that absolutely plays out in male-male relationships and female-female relationships. it's
A
kind of
natural, healthy balance
Yeah.
between the two.
right.
So let me get some quick questions in here. We're about out of time, but I want to ask about, like, for example, first dates. Where else besides coffee shops? Because that's all I ever hear is coffee shops, coffee shops, coffee shops. Do
Right.
have
You know, find
recommendations?
things to do. You know, it's like, while it's still cold, go ice skating or something. Or, you know, go to one of the museums and walk around where there's something more, especially if you feel like you have a hard time getting the conversation going. If there's something else to stimulate that conversation that gives you a jumping off point. And then sometimes it's more interesting too. So, and when you have an idea, you know, there's nothing worse than somebody calling up and asking you out and go, well, what do you want to do? And leaving it on you, you know?
Yes.
So, you know, so it's so attractive if somebody calls up and goes, hey, well, what do you think about going ice skating? Or there's a great show playing, or there's a great band, or
Are
whatever.
you okay with going to shows, or is that like I'm engaged in something else, and so
You know,
like
probably
movies?
not on a first, unless it's like a comedy club or something where you'd still interact and talk about things a little bit and stuff, you know. And it's like, if you're going to go see a movie or a play, then try to have a dinner or something too, so that it's not just that you're not talking. The idea of a first date is to kind of get a feel for each other and chat a little bit on a light level, nothing heavy,
Right.
and find out if you have chemistry.
Let me go to this hot topic about sex on the first date. What do
Okay.
you say?
Oh, I
I'm
say-
really attracted. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I think this is great. I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it, and let's kiss. Oh.
Well, kiss is fine, but like,
But I want to go past that.
right. You know, I mean, I say I have a 10-date rule, not that I expect anybody to like actually count the dates, but I think the longer you wait to bring
10
sex,
dates?
well, the longer you wait to bring sex into the relationship, the more you're going to get emotionally attracted to that person. And then, because then there's those ignoring the red flags. If you're hot for each other, you have a great date, you jump in, you have sex, and then all sorts of red flags are going off, and you're ignoring them because you're going, oh my God, but he's so hot. Like, you know, it's really, it just, and like, to your point, because I know you had said something about like, well, how do they, you know, what if they think you don't really like them because you weren't willing to have sex with them? You can 100% let them know, I am so ready to, like, I just can't yet. Like, please be patient with me. I really can't do it that fast. And you can let them know I'm totally attracted to you without being a tease. And
How long can you do that? That I feel like is the question. I've heard that's come up before. Oh, we've been on. I've heard it 3 dates. We've been on 3 dates and we haven't had sex yet.
Sometimes it can be an indicator of what the other person's looking for, because if they're really just looking for a sexual, fun relationship and they're not willing to wait and make you comfortable and get to know you before you have sex, then that's probably not somebody that you want to be in a relationship with. You know, if they're genuinely looking for a relationship, they'll wait if they're interested.
Okay. I'm like this. I'm letting it soak in.
Okay.
in. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back with questions from the audience. So stay tuned. Questions from the audience here. We're going to find out if she can answer any of these questions without knowing anything ahead of time. She's that much of an expert. I actually was scared about like, oh, should I give you a list of questions? She's like, no, I got this. I got this. No pressure. But no, she's really good. That's the thing. She's super smart. She knows this stuff. So any questions? Anybody want to? Why don't you tell us your name and?
Hi, my name is Seth. Donna, I have a question for you. I'm an actor by trade, so as part of my job, I do a lot of traveling, sometimes 2 to 4 or 5 months at a time. Do you have any tips on how to make long-distance relationships work? Do they work? Because they haven't for me.
Yeah, you know, they're tough. They can work. It helps if you've already been in the relationship for a while before you travel. But then, and communication is the best, you know, way to keep it going. And actually, that's where technology is fabulous. You know, if you can get Skype and you can talk to each other and see each other, and if you can hopefully visit a little bit and stuff. But really, communication is absolutely imperative in long-distance relationships. And really kind of keeping your head grounded, because if it starts in a long-distance relationship, then there's the romanticized feeling of it. You never really did the day-to-day stuff together, and then it's hard to tell whether it really works or not. But I think as long as you keep a really open communication is really the best way to, you know, and honesty, you know, I think, you know, energy is contagious. So if you start doing something that you wouldn't want to tell your partner, they know, you know, in just your
Sexually? Is that what you're referring to?
well,
You don't want to...
whether it's actually sexual or not, like, you know what I mean? It's like, I think if you live by what would you do that if your partner was there kind of thought, then, you know, because insecurity is what usually kills those relationships, that the other one doesn't know what you're doing while you're away. So if you can really make them assured and confident in what you are doing, then that's the best chance you have at making it work.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a really good question. Anybody else? There's a question. Anybody? Other questions? Yes.
Hi, I'm Adam. Hi. Okay, so I have a question. I work in a restaurant, and this was being talked about by this new waiter. Who's this really great guy, and he's British, and he's charming, and so he was talking about, and I've had this happen in the past, where, and we touched upon it briefly earlier about the whole availability. Yeah. So he is totally attracted and smitten with this guy who's, I think, confessed maybe a little passively that he has the same feelings for him, although he's in a relationship, this other guy. So this guy's in a relationship for 4 years, and now he is hanging out with this new friend that I have, and you know, he's sort of leading him on. And I've had this happen. Yeah. A, what sort of advice do you recommend? And I can pass it along. And what is it with the lack of availability in people that we find attractive?
Yeah. Well, I think the best advice you can give your friend is to stay away from that, you know, because one of my other favorite little expressions is the man who marries his mistress leaves an opening in the position, you know, so if, you know, it's like, if, you know, because if he's going to cheat with you, he's going to cheat on you. And if that's the kind of relationship you're into, then fine. But, and also too, I think, you know, if he knew the partner, would he feel as comfortable flirting with that person? You know, I mean, it's hard not to think of that person as another human being. And really, if he's not going to be respectful of his really going to work, so they can completely give themselves to that relationship because they know it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. Cool. Thank you so much.
I have one. I want to ask this. What about, could be a sensitive question for some people, dating with a viral infection, for example, HIV, herpes, HPV, hepatitis. How does someone approach dating when they're in something like this?
Honestly, I think, unfortunately, and I'm actually going through this with a client of mine right now, which is really a tough thing because without revealing anything specific, it was something that she got while she was in a marriage with her partner had cheated and came back to the marriage and now she has it. And she had met a really wonderful man. She'd been dating him for a little while, and she said to me, "When do I tell him?" And I said, "You have to tell him before you have sex with him. I think it's unfair to get into a sexual, relationship without being honest. And I think you risk making that person really angry. So unfortunately, I think there are people out there that's a boundary for them, and they cannot be comfortable to be with somebody who has something like that. So unfortunately, you can lose somebody by being honest, but you have to be honest. You have to be. If you have sex and then after the fact say, "Oh, by the way, you can't get it," that's not your place to make that decision for them. They need to be able to make that choice for themselves. And if you expect to have any kind of a trustworthy relationship, you have to tell them up front.
What about something like, for example, cold sores, which is herpes orally?
Right.
I think the percent, I should look this up, that I think is like a 90-something
Yeah, a lot of
percent
people
of
have
people.
cold
I mean,
sores.
which to me would imply almost every date you go on, you should be hearing that. But I never in my life heard someone say, "Oh, by the way, I got cold sores."
You know, that's a really interesting point, because I think, a lot of people get cold sores, and unless they have an active sore, they don't say anything about it. But I think that the fear of getting, oral herpes is probably less significant than genital herpes. I think that people feel like, although honestly, to have that big on your face is not a pleasant thing either. But that's actually, that's a good point. I mean, I guess technically you're supposed to always share that, but I think
before sexual, just to be clear, for someone that it does not want to share it on the first date.
No, not on the first date. And all the more, if you have something like that, all the more reason to wait quite a while before bringing sex into the relationship, because I think you really need to have a real genuine, because if you've developed an emotional connection with somebody and then you get to a point where you're ready to be intimate together and you say to them, "I need to share something with you," that's really your best chance of having them understand and care about you as a human being enough to say, "Okay, we'll deal with this together, this is okay." But on a first date, if you're going to put it out there, like somebody, actually, another client of mine thought he had it and turned out not to, but he was freaking out. He was going, oh my God, do I have to put that in my online profile? Do I have to date on sites that are only people that have it too? And I was like, no. And like, it's like, clearly if you put it out there in your profile and right off the bat, you're like, hey, just gotta let you know I have herpes. Most people are going to go, oh, you know what? I don't need the aggravation, but they don't know you yet. So that's way, and plus it's way too much information. You might not even be getting to a point where you're going to have sex anyway, so they don't need to know that about you.
I like that. Other questions? Yes.
Hi, I'm Daya. I was wondering if you could share with us some of your biggest aha breakthrough moments while dating.
Well, personally, yeah.
If it's possible.
Oh, absolutely. I'm an open book. My biggest aha is emotionally unavailable men. And it's like, I love, like in the ebook, there's a exercise that you can do that's actually a pretty famous exercise. I didn't create it. Like my therapist had me do it years ago, to identify your pattern, because we subconsciously choose our parent that we didn't get along with well as a child over and over again. And my mother was completely emotionally unavailable. In fact, in my entire life, she never ever once said the words, I love you to me. And then she died when I was 18. So, it's like I'm very aware now that I kept picking emotionally unavailable men in all different shapes and packages. And, if you said to me, I thought that I was dating completely different types of men, but I wasn't. So really, my biggest aha was to then, meet people that I could recognize then by the flags were unavailable and go, I don't care how attractive you are, that doesn't work for me. And to really look for something different and look, and that's where the online dating works great. You can put it out there and say, like, I want to get married and have kids. I want somebody who's unpacked their baggage, who's looked at their issues, who can talk about their feelings and can express what they need, or whatever it is, if that's important to you. And I was actually amazed at how many men wrote me back and went, I want that too, So, yeah, and it's like, and then I have clients that say to me, like, aren't you afraid you're going to scare men away? And it's like, yeah, you're going to scare away the men that don't want that. You don't want them anyway.
So you really did the shift yourself first.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know what? To the point of changing someone else, the only way you can possibly change somebody else is to first change yourself, which will hopefully change the way they respond to you. So, and then in the like attracts like kind of thing, the healthier you get, growth-wise, personal growth-wise, the more attractive a healthier person's going to be to you. And, somebody that I would have found wildly attractive 15 years ago is so not even attractive to me today, because I'm just in a different space and I'm in a healthier place. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Well, thank you very much. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. Thank you for being back. This is absolutely my first episode. Woo! I want to thank Donna Barnes so much for being such a wonderful, wonderful guest.
Oh,
and I'm
thanks.
so honored. I hope I can come back. I hope
anytime.
So,
Thanks.
incredible. I want to let you know her book, like I said, is called It's All About You, How to Use Your Power to Get and Keep a Wonderful Man or Woman. You can just add that. I'll write that in next time. And you can find that online at www.donnabarnes.com. Please check out her website. Also, everyone in the audience gets a free copy of her ebook! So, congratulations to all of you go home with that as well. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. Thank you for coming back. Thank you. We're very glad you could be back. I just want to end the episode with what I call a truth of the day. For me, it's about manifesting just reality, manifesting what came to be. Just to give you some perspective about where this has all come from, as early as January, just 2 months ago, I was thinking about how I should get with my friend Daya and just talk about, that'd be great to just talk about actually taking action. I did the whole contest in Oprah, I didn't make it, and all I wanted to do was to move forward with actually making my talk show. When I started to take action, Daya was holding the camera, she's like not an experienced cameraman, she was just filming me, just creating it, making it happen, and from there, life gave me everything else. One after another, after another, after another, after another. I got a professional studio. I have 3 cameramen. I have a whole company, a studio audience, a backstage. I have an hour show instead of a 3-minute clip. I was going to do 3-minute clips to begin with, all because I started taking action and asking for it. I have a theme song now because a friend asked me to do that. That fell in my lap. I have an amazing producer that came. just because I started to take action, and I say that for you to say, what is your dream? And when are you going to start taking action on it? You can do the same thing. It's just waiting for you. Life is waiting to give you what you want. So thank you all so much for coming today. I'm so honored you could be there. This is so exciting. It's my first show. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time on Absolutely. Thank you so much.
It's time to live my bliss. I wanna walk into your